This video is continuing the POC for Controls feature and more exactly audit feature. I decided that I was complicating things and trying to achieve something beyond my capabilities, so I decided to change the control and decrease its complexity in order to be able to use it and keep working with it. What you see is the dynamic dashboard control part of dynamic dashboards control, which is part of multiple dynamic dashboards user control in action. I decided to use some queries SSMS is using when retrieving and displaying graphically the data for query store. Although I have used those queries, you can replace those with other queries targeting other tables in which you have historical data that you want to retrieve and chart in order to answer a specific business request or answer specific questions. The best use case scenario is to view info from a repository database. As you could see or might notice while watching the video, there are some things which are persistent and other things which are not, and those things were added in order to improve the user experience. When, for example, we want to chart only specific columns from the results set, or we want to display the information row by row. I don't know how to describe this better, but for example, if the first column of the results set is datetime or numeric, the majority of the chart types displays only 5 labels for the entire interval. That approach is good, but for this control, I wanted to have the opportunity to display all the labels which can fit into the chart without the user involvement. My chart's logic was, if user scrolls the results set, then if we are not at the beginning of the results set, we will display a subset of the rows from the result. This approach combined with the ordering of the columns meant that I was not able to see the first row in my results set. Hence, I decided to introduce a string checkbox, which when is checked is changing the data column type of column 0 to string, which triggers the display of a label for x-axis for each data point in our chart. For the time being, I haven't implemented any kind of relations like Power by has. And by this I mean that if I select a x-axis label with text 1283, which is the query ID, then I could loop through all the other charts and check if the same value exists as x-axis label and display in vertical line for that entry or change the color for that. Of course, this can be done, but it requires more modifications and tests in order to work as expected. For the remaining of the video, you will see me how I retrieved and used another query SSMS uses to chart data for its query store feature. I find this control useful because sometimes it's good to have side by side some charts and refresh them at specific intervals and so on. Although I haven't shown the scheduling option in the video, the option is there under the execute button.